Hello, everyone. Happy 4th of July down here in the States. Happy Canadian Day, Canada Day, up north yesterday. So, we have a lot of action here in the cryptocurrency space, specifically LTC, the past couple of days. I'll be going over the usual charts that I do Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Gollum. I'll also then be taking some requests from members in our chat room with regards to altcoins and charting those out. And then, if we have times, I'll interact with the Facebook Live community. Also want to just point out a couple things, just a couple tips as to some trading tips that I've been utilizing. And as I do things, I notice them and make note to point it out to other people as well, because it's kind of just instinctually for me. And I don't really put two and two together as to what exactly I am doing, but some beneficial things. So let's start it off first. TradingView.com is where I chart. That's the number one question I get. Where do I trade? I trade on GDAX, and I like how it allows me to do a lot of the things that I do and to be fluid and able to trade easily. And I use TradingView for charting. And when you set up an account for TradingView, you can have a free version. You go to TradingView.com, you set up your free version, you click Interactive Chart, and then to add the indicators, you right-click, you put Insert Indicator, and then you choose Relative Strength Index, and then you choose MACD. Those are the two that I would suggest on using. And the main things that I'm using when I'm charting this space are volume, MACD, and RSI. And if you've watched the videos, you know what we do with the RSI. It's very, very useful. Certainly suggest putting that on. MACD I've been starting to play around with more so for longer term time frames, and I really like the signals we get on the MACD for the daily chart and the 4-hour chart. So we can see the daily chart here for LTC. We had a bearish MACD cross, and then we consolidated for 2 weeks. We had a bullish MACD cross on this big time breakout. So 4-hour chart and the daily chart are these bullish MACD crosses giving some really nice signals. So I've started to utilize those more in my strategy as well. And I'll never really make an entry or an exit based on the MACD alone. It really just adds to my confidence and adds to my conviction. So if I'm in a position and I see the 4-hour bullish MACD cross is about to follow through, I'll go a little bit longer in terms of moving my exit target up a bit and trying to lock in a bit more significant profit because that bullish development on that indicator is occurring. So that's something I wanted to point out here on TradingView. A couple of things I want to point out on GDAX here in terms of utilizing it to trade. So first off, as we know, the order levels here can give us a really good indication of what's going on. And I'm talking about the order book, and I'm talking about the time and sales. And if you've seen the video that I did in the past, the other webinar, I went into it pretty in depth, but there's some other things that I've been doing in terms of trading and my style, so to speak. A couple of things I want to point out. First off, when I'm making an entry into a position, I'm doing it in two ways. If I'm trying to catch an oversold bounce on the way down, I'm scaling in by spacing out my orders, and I'll always look at the order book and I'll see where support is. So right now, looking here at ETH, I can see there's support at 265, but then I scroll down and I see absolutely no support until all the way down towards 264. So if I were trying to make an entry in here and I was looking for 265 to break to give me that entry, I wouldn't be putting my buy order at 264.95. I'd be putting my buy order at 264.30, because if we do break this support level, we should see a quick flash down to that level because of the lack of the support below it. So that's just information that you can get by looking at this order book. So let's say that I'm making a bullish entry on an oversold dump and I'm scaling into my position, but I only get filled halfway and I get pretty close to the bottom. Half of my order gets filled and then we start to bounce. Now, if I'm quick enough, I'll flip right around and I'll do a market order with the last of my position if there's enough on the ask that I'm not going to be buying too high. But if it gets away from me and I miss my entry opportunity, I'm not going to chase it on the way up to try and fill the rest of my orders. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the half of the position that I got, and I'm going to use the money that hasn't been spent, and I'm going to walk my bid up. And I've seen that other people do that as well. And it's really a lot of fun to do that, where I'll just set my bid. Like right now, if I were trying to walk this bid up, I would put my bid at 264.99, and I would remove it if I didn't want to buy in those shares as soon as this wall starts to get chipped away to the downside. But on moves like LTC today, we saw a lot of bullish bids stacking up and walking the price to the upside. So there was a scenario where only half of my buy-in order filled, and I would then walk up with the bids, making sure that there was always a few hundred above me so I would have enough time to exit if we did start to see selling pressure. but walking it up. And what it does is psychologically, it gives confidence to other people to buy at the ask and to run the price up. So there was a scenario today on LTC where I was having a bid order down here, walking the price up that I had no intention of filling, and I was walking the price up to my sell order, trying to encourage other people saying, oh, look at all this bid support, I'm going to buy on the ask. And then as soon as my other half of my position was bought at the ask, I removed my bid, and that was that. So I'm always utilizing the information on the order book. And there's another thing that you want to do. If you're trying to sell, you don't want to show your hand, so to speak. So let's say right now there's a big sell wall of resistance at 265.21. Let's say it's even bigger here than what we've got right now on 119. And I want to sell at, I can see there's not a lot of resistance here on the ask. So there a 300 order just pulled up. So I'll put mine just below that at 265.74. I'm not going to put, let's say I want to sell 300 ETH. I'm not going to put it in right now, because if I put it in right now, anybody that's going to be trying to buy at the ask is going to see the resistance up there, and it's going to discourage them. They're going to say, oh man, we still have to get through all that ETH. I'm going to hold off buying on the ask right now. But if I wait, and if I wait until this wall gets bought down and the price starts to move through these resistances, and then I put my sell order in, then it's fresh and it pops up and people are already buying into the ask and buying that momentum. Like right now is when I would put my sell order in. The wall just broke down. We have a little bit of resistance. The price easily just moved up, 40 cents, and the buy momentum is coming in. So that's when I would put my sell order in, not while there's still a resistance wall that might discourage people from buying. So those are just two little tidbits where you always want to be putting yourself in the shoes of the market and other people that are making trades, and utilize what the psychology of is going on in their head, and playing with bids and where to place your asks. That's all you're really doing in terms of trying to find the ideal buy entry points and sell exit points. So I just described a scenario where I make an entry on the way down where I'm buying staggered levels of support. Another scenario for LTC is when today, buying into resistance, I will take down walls. So we see big walls at resistance levels, and what I will do is use a market order and eat the fee, knowing that I'm going to make more profit than that fee is costing me. And I will make a purchase. Let's say we have a 3,000 LTC wall, and it starts to get chipped away, and I'm looking to buy 2,000 LTC. I'll just buy the last of that wall and get filled all at one price. The last thing I want to do is do a market order where I'm going to get filled walking it up, 40 cents to the upside because it's thinly traded at those levels. I want to be buying at the market order all in one chunk and taking out a key resistance level. So as soon as I buy that big wall, it's very easy for the price to move up 30, 40 cents, and I'm instantly profitable in that trade. So that's what I've been doing on LTC today. I've been flipping LTC really the past 2 days. A lot of buys and a lot of sells, and I just did another trade right before I went live here. I'll point that one out real quick, and then I'll go over these charts in terms of what we are looking at going forward. So LTC, on the 5-minute time frame, a trade that I just made two actually. I made a bullish entry right here when we hit a new all-time high again, and then I set an exit point and I sold, and then I saw all this volume and volatility come in. So I put a fishing order in here just because we dumped so quickly. I put an order in at 55.75 for 1,000 LTC, and I got filled for 555 of that. And literally 30 seconds later, the price went from 55.75 to 56.50. So I just sold that 555 LTC for a plus 75 cent gain in 30 seconds, and I will always lock in that profit. When it comes that quickly, I'll always lock it in instantly, because again, all I'm doing is just adding to my stack with profitable trade after profitable trade. It's the same scenario where if I just bought in this morning and didn't look and sold now at the top, would I have made more money? Yes, but I'm not comfortable doing that with my entire stack. So I've been buying and selling. I think I'm 7 for 7 on LTC with profitable trades the past 2 days, and that's my more comfortable style of doing things, making sure that I'm always in complete control of the trades. And if I can't be at my computer, I do not want to be in a chart like LTC that looks like this on the daily time frame, because although it is extremely strong, we have run really high, and you have to factor in when looking at the hourly time frame that the risk to reward, the higher we go in this blue sky breakout, obviously if you enter on blue sky breakout, as soon as 50 breaks, you're in, and it's really easy to make money to the upside. We just went 10%, but it is And let's see, LTC got up to 57.75. Need to double check that. Either way, so the risk to reward at entering at these levels is skewing more and more to the risk side the higher we go. If you are already in a position, you know, you're sitting pretty, and it's very easy to be making money and making decisions when you're very profitable. But if you're looking to enter a trade at this point, the risk is really high. So I do not suggest making entries when we've already run so significantly. And if you are making entries, you're doing what I'm doing, and you're flipping really quickly, and you're locking in that profit, because we are going to pull back significantly. Look at the hourly time frame. Big upper wick of profit taking. That's a bearish reversal, inverted hammer forming, and you can see on the 5-minute time frame we've already pulled back, where anybody buying at 57 is already down over $1. So you don't want to be buying in at the top here to be looking for anything more than a very quick flip. We need some significant consolidation. So just to touch back on LTC, because this is the most action we've seen in terms of trading. We're seeing money leaving ETH to head to play LTC, because that's where all the action is. What was the bullish signal here on the daily chart that LTC bulls were going to see some strength? The first signal for me was seeing the consolidation low set. We had our double bottom. We had the high of the bounce attempt. We then pulled back and formed a higher low. And after that higher low formed, we then formed a higher high. So let's get this higher low right there. And as soon as this resistance level broke the high of the original bounce attempt of 43.44, that was the bull signal that we were back in control of the bulls, because we reversed the trend. Consolidation, hit our low, high of the bounce, higher low, higher high. Bullish MACD cross to go with it, increasing bull volume, new all-time high, tons of gains to be had to the upside. Now, what was the reason that we ran? Well, if you look at Twitter, the founder of Litecoin, Charlie Lee, he started posting things about a meeting that they had, a little bit of a conference, and all kinds of pictures and information, and the market really responded bullish to all of this information that he was posting. And that was the catalyst for the run that began here, and it really carried over for about 2 days after the bull move in reaction to that tweet. So the timing was really right in terms of our double top at the all-time high, $50, the bulls establishing support, then that tweet comes out and the dollars start pouring in, because you have to keep in mind this cryptocurrency space is always looking for the next runner, right? And people want to be in the name that's moving the strongest. And that's why you see money shifting around. If one name like LTC is running, you're seeing money leave ETH to go into LTC. So the bulls always want to find where the runner is, and right now it was with LTC, and we saw a lot of money pour into LTC in response to that tweet, and that momentum just carried over. So where we stand right now, I'm probably done trading LTC for tonight, depending on how this 5-minute consolidation goes. There's a lot of volume here and a ton of volatility. So there's easy, quick flips here for 50 cents a dollar, but I would be very cautious if we break this low right here, 54.52. If we break that low, we lose the higher low pattern on the 5-minute time frame that keeps the bulls in full control. So right now, if we consolidate, we form a base of support. We come back up to try and test the all-time high. We form a lower high, and then we pull back and start to form a lower low. That's the red flag that some consolidation is coming, and it does look to me like that is what is going to begin to develop here overnight in LTC. And this is misleading. This is LTC still. So that's what we got for LTC. We're going to consolidate after a big bull run. After 3 days of big bullish movement to the upside, I would be surprised if we did not form a bearish reversal candlestick today. And considering today just started 43 minutes ago, we still have 23 hours of trading in this candlestick. But I do expect that it is time to consolidate a little bit more significantly than we've seen. And there is going to be a nice trade opportunity while I am talking here live, and likely going to miss out on it. But utilizing this 54.52 support, looking to make a bullish entry here around 55 psychological, or maybe the upper 54s, and just looking for another 50-cent bounce. Those 50-cent bounces are fairly easy when we have this kind of volatility and really thin trading, because we just took out all of the resistances. There's not a lot of supports established, so we're seeing a ton of this volatility, where in the past 10 minutes, we went from a range of 55.28 to 57.75. That's a $2.50 range in 10 minutes. So there's very quick flip opportunity here. And let's see if 55 psychological holds and we see a bounce up to 56. I do believe that we are going to see a short-term bounce back up towards 56 while I am talking here. So I'll keep checking back in on that 5-minute time frame. So let's look at the other names. Bitcoin is the second strongest. This is the daily time frame for Bitcoin, and this is a break of a descending triangle pattern. So the descending triangle pattern is when you have a horizontal base of support, and this is where, even though we dipped well below this level plenty of times, we never closed below it. And you can see we held it twice. And the descending triangle pattern is when you hold support, you bounce, you hold support again, you set a lower high, you see a tightening range. We held it a third time, bull break occurred, and then 2 days of green follow through followed. We're on the verge of a bullish MACD cross. This is the daily chart. That's more of a longer term time frame. So we are looking for some continuation in this move. Now, we may consolidate and form a higher low and then see continuation. But this put the momentum back in favor of the bulls by breaking this equilibrium pattern. It was a couple patterns. The equilibrium of higher lows and lower highs broke bullish, as did the descending triangle pattern. So the bulls have a bit of momentum on Bitcoin. It is the second strongest. We're not seeing the kind of profit taking and sell-off to get into LTC that we are seeing in Ethereum because of this very strong move to the upside. And we can see as soon as we established our support, the higher low, we then started forming higher lows and higher highs, and it shifted momentum back in the favor of the bulls. So we've been consolidating for about a couple dozen hours now on Bitcoin, and the bulls are still in control overall. I would be watching this key support here, and that support right now is the low of consolidation of 25.60. The bulls always want to hold that 25.60 support from here to remain in full control. We broke this lower high pattern, so we had our high, low, lower high, lower low. Now there's our higher low and higher high. So we're trying to shift the momentum back up to test resistance of 26.26 and 26.36 to see if the bulls can regain momentum. But I am liking this daily chart for Bitcoin. We may need to consolidate on the daily time frame to set that higher low. And if we break 25.60, that will be the indication that that is the case. We do need to see a higher low form on the daily time frame. Let's check that level one more time. After 3 green days, we'll look for a higher low to form and then a higher high to see continuation. And I do anticipate that if we do consolidate now on Litecoin a bit more significantly on the daily time frame, let's say over the next 2 days, if we were to consolidate and pull back towards $50 support, speaking of which, $50 support is likely going to be a nice entry. It was a double top at the all-time high of resistance. It's a psychological level. If in the next 2 days we pull back to $50, I would be looking for a bullish entry at that point, just looking for a dollar or two move to the upside off of the back test of previous resistance, now support. But that being said, as we do see profit taking in Litecoin, that money is going to go somewhere else, right? People aren't just sitting with cash in their account. They're looking to see where is the momentum and where can I make profit. So keep an eye on Bitcoin and Ethereum to see where the Litecoin profit might be coming in. And if we do pull back to the low $50 range, we know there's a decent amount of profit taking going on, and those funds will be looking for a new home. Ethereum on the, let's start with the daily time frame. Ethereum has a clear pattern as well, but it has not broken yet. This is why it is the weakest of the three. Litecoin, obviously, an all-time high is strongest. We've then got Bitcoin, because it broke bullish of that descending triangle pattern, is number 2, but Ethereum has not broken yet. So we have our low of the pullback, we have our high of the bounce attempt, we have our higher low, but we also have a lower high. So the range that we are currently in keeps tightening, and look at the volume. It's textbook declining volume as we see this range tighten. We have not broken this pattern just yet, and this is what I would call a bottom fishing play, so to speak, where we utilize a key support level. The low that we've established so far is 253.23. I would round that to 253, and if looking for a bullish entry, we can be looking as we approach 253 support. If we make a bullish entry, we know, okay, I will exit if 253 support breaks, because the next support after 253 is going to be down in the low 200s, around 211 or 206. So 253 is a must hold in the short term, and we can make a bullish entry, have a clear stop loss level utilizing that support, and we need to see the bulls break 293.73 to see a bullish break of this pattern. The correlation of Ethereum and Bitcoin has been strong enough in the past where we can put the odds in the favor of a bullish break ever so slightly because of the correlation where Bitcoin has already made a bullish break of this for a higher high. Ethereum has not, so That's a slight edge in favor of Ethereum making a bullish break eventually because Bitcoin already has. So we're getting very tight here. We're going to see a clear break in Ethereum, if not tomorrow, which is today's candlestick. I'm going to say on, let's say, so this is Wednesday's candlestick just starting now. Let's call it Thursday. If it doesn't happen today, it will likely happen Thursday, and we're going to see a volume spike associated with this break when it does occur. So Ethereum is going to be the top watch for me, because what this chart says to me and what this volume says to me is get ready, a break is coming. This is the rubber band right now, stretching tighter and tighter and tighter, and it's going to snap, and it's going to come with a volume spike, and it's going to happen in the next few days. So Litecoin is the star of the show the past 2 days. I'm going to be shifting my focus from Litecoin, which has been a really nice trader, and I'm going to be looking on Ethereum and getting very, very keened in, that's the wrong word, but focused in on when the break is going to be occurring on Ethereum. So if I want more details, I'm zooming in. Let's see what the 4-hour chart looks like on Ethereum. So a little bit, let me get rid of some lines here, but we've got still a tightening pattern. There's our support down at 253. So keeping an eye out for a bullish reversal candlestick on the 4-hour time frame and confirmation of that to be looking at a bullish entry. But I don't see enough of a sign of that at this point that would have me confident in making a bullish entry just yet. Let's look at the hourly time frame for a bit more detail. I can see the bears have been in control here. The hourly RSI just dipped into oversold. We saw a nice bounce from 265 to 274, a $9 bounce opportunity, but we're still seeing lower highs, and we're now looking at a double bottom, 265 and 265. So if I wanted to make a bullish entry at this point, I could make an entry right now and exit if 265 broke. That's just an example of utilizing previous support levels to dictate where we put our stop levels and how we know when to cut the cord, when to get out of the trade, and when to go cash. And I've been keeping my losers, which haven't been many in the past couple days, fortunately, but keeping them to less than half of what my target is for a bullish entry trade. And it's keeping those losers small and having the cash to be able to strike when bull momentum does show up that has been doing really well over the past 2 months of trading this space. So let's see if this double bottom holds on Ethereum. Resistance right now, I'm looking at a lower high of 271. So if we break 271 without breaking 265 support, we will look for the bulls to show up a bit in this space on Ethereum. And again, I am watching very close over the next 2 days for entry signals to be looking for a bullish move back up to the 290s of Ethereum. I'm not sure if it's going to happen yet. I don't have enough bullish indication right now, or I would be entering the position already. But that will be my target, the 290s, if we do get the signals that I'm looking for a bullish entry. And I'll keep doing these videos as always, and I'll keep pointing out what I am seeing. But all attention is shifting to Ethereum. Checking in on Gollum. I've reloaded recently on Gollum in the 18s and looking to hold a bit longer term, waiting for, some potential catalyst here, and was able to exit in the low 20s and re-enter again, and constantly doing that, either adding to my position or I've started to cash out at this point where, I'll cash out the profits that I make and buy back the same amount by buying back cheaper. So the hourly time frame is getting really boring here on Gollum. It's just trading sideways, and I'm looking at key resistance of 19.5 and 19.05, and I'm looking at key support down at 17.6 and then down at 17.2. So not a lot of action. The daily time frame really slowing down on Gollum, and that is not a good view. Sometimes on TradingView need to refresh things when things get screwy like that. So GNT BTC, and pulling up the daily time frame. So you can see we're leveling out, and you remember the inside bars. If you're used to these videos, inside bars are when the range fits completely within the range of the previous candlestick, and we have multiple in a row. So we know a break is coming very soon, and we can use the range of the previous candlestick to let us know when that break does occur. So very tight range currently with today's candlestick that just started trading, and I'm watching support of 17.9 and resistance of 19.05. If it doesn't break, we will be watching the next day for a certain break and watching to see which direction that occurs in. So that would be a very easy trade signal. If looking for a bullish entry in Gollum, enter when we see a bull break of this inside bar pattern. I'm not saying we're going to see a bull break, but you wait for the break of resistance to make that entry point so you know that the bullish momentum is in your favor and you're very quickly profitable in that trade. So patiently watching Gollum as well. Gollum and ETH have most of my attention. Checking back in on Litecoin. Let's see what this 5-minute time frame is doing here. So the bulls bouncing off 55.04, and let's see if we can make a move up to the 56 range for a quick flip opportunity. But it looks like we just bounced off of 55.04 and bounced up to 55.70. So there are 50-cent flipping opportunities. And, you know, if you're trading with 1,000 LTC position, that's an easy way to lock in $500 really quickly. And that is really what I've been doing over the past, let's say the past hour. Just this last leg up, I wanted to be really cautious again. So just being very quick. So I'm going to open it up to the member chat room here. Feel free to ask any questions and ask about any altcoins. I haven't covered altcoins in quite some time, and I'll certainly go over anything that's on TradingView that I can look at and get a little peek as to what altcoins might be seeing some bullish momentum or finding some support. But as of right now, just patiently waiting and watching ETH and really liking being cash. I cannot stress that enough. And again, this is just my style. If you're a long investor, if you're comfortable, maybe you're not trading with as much capital and you're comfortable holding longer term, that's great. But for me, it's just constantly in and out, where the longest positions that I am in will be maybe for, 6 hours to 8 hours overnight. I will hold sometimes if the conditions are right and I have a clear stop loss level. So first off, looks like we're looking at EOS, and thank you for giving me the full ticker to make life easy. EUR. So EOS, EUR, and the first thing that I do whenever I look at a chart is I go to the daily. That's all I want to look at first. And it looks like we just began trading, so there's not a lot of information there. So this is just an overall picture from the daily time frame, and then from there I zoom in to get more details. So I will then look to the hourly time frame, and I can see that we are close to the bull showing up here. Now, how can I say that? Well, we hit our high. We then pulled back and set lower highs and lower lows and saw sufficient consolidation on the way down. But now, after setting our most recent lower high, we formed our higher low. And this is our first higher low that we have formed since we began consolidating. So we now have a higher low, and we can look for a break to the upside if we can get over 314. So let's see what I'm looking at here specifically. I'm looking at resistance, the high of the last bounce attempt. Get out of my way. So the high of the last bounce attempt, and I'm looking at the higher low, and that's the current range that I'm watching here on EOS. And if we see a bull break of 314, the next resistance that I can look up at is 340 and 396. And if we break 314, that will shift momentum back to the bulls after sufficient consolidation, and we'll be looking for further upside from here. So we are getting close. And we will see a break here sometime in the next 6 hours, I would say, within the next 6 hours, and watching very close for this break to occur, because it will give some nice gains due to the lack of previous price history here, just 4 or 5 days of trading. If we see this turn around, this could be a very easy 10% move, where if we do break 314, we're looking right up at 330, 340 as the next resistance to be watching. So keep an eye on EOS, EUR. I do like that hourly setup that we are currently forming. Strat BTC. Same thing. Start with the daily time frame and zoom in from there. So the daily time frame is getting tight here as well. Look at this quadruple bottom of support. So I'm looking down here and I'm seeing that we have bounced right off this level. Looking at 345. Actually, I take that back. 214, 215. And then prices just above that level, 22, 222, and 219. So the bulls are very clearly defending this level. This is another descending triangle pattern where we can have a horizontal base of support and a lower high pattern as the price continues to tighten and we continue to approach a flex point where we either have to break the lower high pattern or we break through support. And we're approaching that. This is the daily chart, so this could be another 3 or 4 days trading in this pattern, but we're watching very close. If 22 breaks, it's red flag number 1, and if 215 breaks, I would not want to be in a bullish position. In terms of resistance, I'm looking at this downtrend line, and I'm looking at our most recent lower high of 285, but we're about to set another lower high, and it might have just happened at 25 0.17. So this is another one to be watching. A very clear tight pattern is forming and the volume is dropping off. Look at this picture perfect declining volume as the range tightens. We are going to see a spike in volume. We're going to see a break in this pattern. And again, everybody always asks me, well, what direction are we going to break? I don't know. The odds favor a bullish break because of the overall prevailing trend of where we are coming from, but I will not make an entry assuming a direction until we see a clear break. So that is going to occur sometime in the next couple of days for strat. So the first two that I've just looked at, we have an hourly pattern to look at on EOS, and we have a daily pattern to look at on strat, and both of them are going to give some really nice signals. Next, we're looking at Dash. We'll cover Dash Bitcoin, starting with the daily time frame, zooming out to see where we are coming from, and seeing that the bulls are forming higher lows and higher highs. So we had a significant pullback. We pulled back to 345, another higher low at 37, another higher low at 412, and then we broke the lower high pattern. So the bullish signal occurred as soon as this lower high broke right here of 64, because before that, and actually there was a little bit of a fake out of a bull signal back here where we ended up giving it back, but breaking this level of 6.1 or make that 6.4 broke these lower highs. We had 1, 2, 3 lower highs in a row. That broke on a spike in volume. It was the most volume we had seen in over a month. And from there, we are now looking for higher lows and higher highs, but it's slow and steady. We're in a range right now where I would be watching this most recent support of 668 and the most recent resistance of 735. So that's the range that I'm currently watching to see which breaks first, to see where short-term momentum is heading. I like that the longer-term momentum over the past few weeks is favoring the bulls, but this is where I would zoom in and watch our most recent levels to get our most up-to-date short-term action as to what to expect. Getting a question about confirming the inside bar break on July 2nd on ETH. So going to the daily chart. And it was a bear break of the inside bar on July 2nd. So this was an inside bar where the range fit completely within the range of the previous candlestick. As soon as the low of that candlestick broke, that was a bear break, and we had a red day. And the signal only lasts the time frame of the chart. So if this were the hourly chart, that would be a bear break and a signal for 1 hour. But because it's a daily chart, it was a bear break and a signal for the day to be red, which it was. So that was a nice inside candlestick indicating downside action from there. Zcash. So it looks like there's no Zcash oh, there we go, Tether USD. So the daily time frame for Zcash has been consolidating. There's a very clear support level here as well where I would want to be out and not bullish if this level were to break. And I can say that because we have bounced off of it 3 times. So I'm looking at 247, 246.59, 246.83. So I would use 246.59 because that's the lowest price of the 3, but it's very clear that that is a base of support that we are bouncing off of. And look at the lower high. So it's another descending triangle pattern where we bounce, set a lower high, bounce, lower high, tightening range, declining volume, and we are going to see a break of this pattern sometime in the near future. So I can't really draw a picture perfect downtrend resistance line here, so I'm not going to try to. I'm just going to use the price levels. Our most recent lower high was at 299.82. We can call that 300 psychological resistance, and we're watching to see which breaks first. Is support going to break or is resistance going to break? So 300 is the most recent lower high. We need to establish support and break the lower high pattern. Still patient. So if I were not in Zcash here, I would not be looking to make an entry until we either break the lower high pattern, and really that's the only scenario. I would only want to be in if we break a lower high pattern, maybe bottom fishing the support down here with a stop loss just below it if it does break. But I always want that bull momentum in my favor so I can lock in my profit short term and have that cash ready and waiting to go to the next position. XEM. So XEM on the daily time frame, trying to see a bounce play out. Looks like I already have a support line established here. So the must hold support in the short term is down at 5913. That was our low before we broke the lower high pattern. So again, we're seeing this in a lot of altcoins with just slow and steady lower highs coming down to a base of support. The base of support was the low of consolidation at 5742. We bounced off of 59, holding that support, and broke the lower high pattern. So a bullish indication on when the break occurred here. Look at these lower highs. So we had a bounce attempt that rejected from 108. We then had lower highs here, 8433, 84. So that's a little double top. I would call that a double top at 84. And if we break that level, that's a clear break of resistance. We had another lower high down here at 7. And as soon as we broke 7, that's when the lower high pattern broke and the bulls took control. And it happened on an increase in volume. Look at the volume continually dropping off, spike in volume 3 green days in a row. And I will now look for higher lows and higher highs to form. As soon as you break a lower high pattern, you then anticipate higher lows and higher highs to begin forming as momentum has shifted and the bulls are beginning to show up. So zooming in for more details here on XEM to be looking at how much momentum the bulls do have, I would be cautious here because we broke the higher low pattern. This was a lower high and a lower low, so I would be cautious on a bullish entry because I'm not confident that the bulls can keep up this 3-day green move because we did lose the hourly higher low pattern. So I would be looking for the daily chart now after 3 green days to pull back a little bit and form a higher low, and I would be looking to make an entry on that higher low. And again, that's because the hourly time frame with more details broke that higher low pattern. For drawing my trend lines, I use the real bodies of the candlesticks. There's no right or wrong answer as long as you are consistent. My mentor used the real bodies, so that is what I use. Other people use the wicks. The last thing you want to do is use upper bodies and wicks. So let's get some examples here of some bad trend lines. This is what I did with the real bodies. So my point was the all-time high, and my second point was the close here on the second peak. And then from here, although I'm going right through these red candlesticks, no candlesticks closed above my downtrend resistance line. So that's exactly what I want to see. As long as no candlesticks close above my downtrend resistance line, I know it is valid to be watching. I could use the wicks here as well if I wanted to draw a different trend line using just the wicks. As long as I can stay consistent, I would be doing it right here, and that's where I would have topped out, hitting all those wicks. The last thing you want to do is use wicks and real bodies because that inconsistency makes the trend line invalid. Checking back in on Litecoin real quick. Let's see what that 5-minute RSI did do. Or I should say that 5-minute consolidation. So we bounced right above 55 psychological support and didn't make it all the way back to 56, but we got up to 55.70 a couple times. So again, I would not want to be in this name right now, looking like a little potential bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern on the 5-minute time frame. We're in consolidation mode right now and just want to be cautious and see where a bottom can be found. Let's see if this RSI on the 5-minute cools off down to oversold eventually, but we just broke this support right now of 55.04. So here we are at 55 psychological, and again, the very key level is 54.52 that I'm looking at, and look at that quick flush, and look where we just bounced off of 54.50, 54.51. That's a bear break. That's a lower low now. That is a bearish reversal, head and shoulders pattern, and that just broke the neckline of support. The neckline was 55.04, and you can see the volume that came in and the break that occurred as soon as that support level gave out. So now on the hourly time frame, we're forming some bearish reversal candlesticks. Bearish reversal inverted hammer being confirmed. Quick push to the downside. And let's see where our new support is going to be established. From here, I'm looking down at 53.25, but 54 psychological should see some bounce, and we're right at that level right now. So a very quick flush, big bear volume. It's very clear that profit taking from the all-time high is coming in, and momentum has shifted. So bulls do not want to be in this name unless you are longer term and playing, days and weeks out. The exit signal was a volume climax on the 5-minute time frame and a bearish reversal spinning top candlestick, and then big upper wicks of profit taking with tons of volume. There was definitely a volume climax, that 15-minute period here up in the $57 range, and now we are seeing that further profit taking fall back. So most of the traders in the chat room are likely out at this point, hopefully out at this point, after a really nice move to the upside over multiple days. So momentum is going to shift now in LTC. Let's see if ETH and some of these other names can get some of the profit back in their favor. And I do believe a lot of traders, just like me, are going to be watching very close. And looks like that was a really nice trade opportunity on Ethereum off of 265 again. Looks like 265 is now a double bottom. Let's look at this on a different time frame. So that double bottom happened already. So that's a very key support. Watch that double bottom on Ethereum. Tightening range, I would look at it on the 15-minute time frame as well to get a bit more details. Lower high pattern, we can draw a downtrend resistance line. But I do believe momentum, or I should say focus, is going to shift to Ethereum the next 2 days. So this is the descending triangle pattern that I'd be watching right now on the 15-minute time frame for Ethereum. And I can estimate when this break will occur. I can say within a certain amount of time because I can estimate how many candlesticks can fit before we have to get a break. And I'm looking at about 4 hours of candlesticks can fit in here. Each candlestick is 15 minutes, so 4 hours would be 16 candlesticks. I can say within 4 hours, we will most likely break from this pattern. And if we get a bull break, then we will be looking for a move back up. First things first, back up to the mid-270s. So we'll see overnight if the bulls start to see some LTC profits come back in to Ethereum. So I'll do one last check-in here on Litecoin. And let me look in the YouTube chat here real quick. I'll do a ticker here if something comes up. Let's look at Strat. I am seeing a couple people saying GDAX is down. So Stratus and Bitcoin, daily time frame, always the first thing I look at. Where am I here? There we go. I already did Strat. So that is the descending triangle pattern that we're looking at. And again, a lot of these altcoins are in this descending triangle pattern. And when we get a clear break, it is a really nice trade opportunity once that does occur. And when I do exit my positions, I move straight into USD. And I can just bounce right around. I can withdraw to my bank account. I've already started withdrawing into my bank account from GDAX. And it's just, I really like sitting US dollars. And I know, you know, the whole purpose of these cryptocurrencies for a lot of people is to bring down the dollar, and that may be the case, but we're looking out multiple years for that to happen, and I'm not currently in an investment space. I'm in a trading space, and I want to be quick in and out. So that's what we've got heading into tomorrow. All eyes on Ethereum, caution on LTC. Man, what is with you YouTube people? I'm going to stop doing these YouTube lives if you guys can't control yourself. All right, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will see you all tomorrow, and we'll do an update on Ethereum to see how that plays out. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great 4th of July night. I've already heard the fireworks going off now, and I will see you soon.